Hey, what's up guys, it's Blake and today I'm back with another guitar theory kind of video focusing on two basic scales you should really know to really begin understanding how music is made and how notes kind of relate to one another. It's so important to learn some basic theory because it will paint the blueprint for every song you ever want to learn or ever want to write. By following the rules of the key and mode you're in, you will make your life so much easier in the long run by just learning some simple scales. I know music theory is probably the most boring thing you'll ever experience in your life, but if you love guitar, you'll put the time necessary in to get better in the fastest way possible using all of the tricks and tips that come with learning it. It is definitely worth your time once you get the basics of it down. Once you have the basic form of scales down, the fretboard just starts to open up and you can really feel and see where all these different notes are respective to your key and your mode, and it just makes perfect sense after that point. And the first scale I'm going to go into in this video is really going to show that off. But before we get into this, I just want to say that there's so many different positions and ways to play these, and I'm just going to be focusing on the ways that I learned them and what's been most helpful to me over the years. It's just important to remember that there's no definitive way to do this on the fretboard, and you'll hear a ton of other people tell you there's all these different shapes and all these other things, so don't think this is definitive. You can go out and do it however you feel comfortable with. But when practicing these, it's very helpful to use a metronome and make sure you're going through these slowly and really understanding where everything is and why it's there. It also helps to practice with not a lot of gain and not a lot of distortion, because that tends to hide your mistakes, and when you're kind of learning how to go through these, you want it to be as clean and crisp as possible to really work your fingers and build that muscle memory of where everything is. You can always work those effects in later when you're 100% ready for them. But as always, all helpful material with chord sheets and tabs and all of that will be in the description below. And if you like the video, please like it and subscribe for more guitar related content. So let's get into it. So the first scale I want to talk about is the major scale, which will be the most important scale you will ever learn. The major scale is a heptatonic scale, which means there are 7 notes in it. This scale and its minor best friend is basically what all Western music is based around. And for those that don't know what major and minor means, major kind of sounds happy and minor sounds sad. But for the most part, the major scale is going to be your go-to for most of the musical things you're going to do in your life. And that's really what opens up the fretboard, because once you memorize it and take it all in, you're just going to see the patterns right in front of you materialize across all the strings and all the frets, and you will know where to go next from there when you're writing and when you're learning. So we're going to bring it into a close with the fretboard just so you can understand a little bit and have a better look at what's going on here. The major scale is going to start on the name of the note of the scale you're playing in. So if you're playing an E, your first note's going to be an E. But here's the really cool thing about the scale. You can work it down all of the strings and extend it as much as you want to really give you the best look at all the notes and all the frets you can use. So across all strings, it looks like this. We're going to start on the 8th fret of the E string. And we're going to do this based on finger numbers. So index is 1, middle finger is 2, ring is 3, and pinky is 4. So you're going to start on your 2nd finger on the 8th fret on the E, and then you're going to go to your 4th finger on the 10th fret, and then your 1st finger on the A string at the 7th fret, 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the A, and your 4th finger on the 10th of the A. And then we're going to move down to the D, and we're going to go to our 1st finger again on the 7th fret of the D, then our 3rd finger on the 9th fret, 4th finger on the 10th fret. And so that technically right there is the complete major scale. So we're going to continue this from the 10th fret on the D string and move up to our top 3 strings and repeat that scale. So coming from the 10th fret with our 4th finger, we're going to move up to the G string on the 7th fret with our 1st finger, then to the 9th fret with our 3rd, the 10th fret with our 4th, and then we're going to move up to the B string with our 2nd finger on the 8th fret, our 4th finger on the 10th fret, and then we're going to jump up to our high E with our 1st finger on the 7th, and then our 2nd finger on the 8th, and that completes the 2nd round of the scale. So up to speed, it looks like this. And back down. But by far, my favorite thing about guitar and not instruments like piano, it is completely transposable between keys. So as long as you know the shape, you can play it in any key. Like for example, we did it in C, so if you want to take it from C to C sharp, all you gotta do is move up a fret. If you want to take it to D, you just gotta keep moving, and then let's say you want to move to G, you just go to your G. It just makes your life so much easier, and overall the major scale is gonna be the basis of pretty much everything you're gonna learn when it comes to most Western music, and you're not gonna find a lot that's gonna stray from that. The next scale I want to talk about is the major pentatonic scale, which is derived from the major scale. This is a pentatonic scale, meaning there are only 5 notes in this one, and in this case the 7th and the 4th get dropped. This scale is especially helpful when it comes to playing leads, and this scale is pretty much the basis of most blues and rock solos and style. It's incredibly helpful and kind of the first scale everybody learns. This is because it only has 5 notes and it's a little easier to grasp, but I find that it's a lot easier to understand the major scale first and then work it down to the pentatonic. The important thing about this scale is that it gives you another look at how to work out leads and how to incorporate everything into one fairly basic formula that can be helpful from song to song. So the scale looks like this in the key of C major. We're going to be back at the 8th fret on the low E with our 4th finger on the 8th, then we're going to move up to the A string with our 1st finger on the 5th, then our 3rd finger on the 7th, and then we're going to repeat that fingering on the D and the G. So we're going to use our 1st finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, then we're going to move up to the B where we're going to go 1st finger, then 4th finger on the 8th, and then up to the high E where it's going to be the same pattern again. So it's going to be 1st and 4th. So the scale looks like this. And back down. And again, like the major scale, this is completely transposable, so you can move it up and down the fretboard. My favorite thing about this scale and what makes it so great is that the target notes in this are a 3rd, the root, and a perfect 5th, which makes up a triad, which kind of becomes the base chord for the scale. So our 3rds are going to be the 7th fret on the A and the 5th fret on the B. And our 5ths are going to be our 5th fret on the D and our 8th fret on the B. So those positionings are going to be constant wherever you move the scale. They're going to be the ring finger on the A7th and the 1st finger on the D5, 1st finger on the B5, and then 4th finger on the B8. The tonic, the 3rd, and the 5th land up as your target notes, which I just said, which is especially helpful in phrasing and depending on the progression you're working with. It really helps make the most out of everything. But it's really important just to understand their positions and how they work into music. Eventually you'll develop an ear for them and that will make perfect sense, but that just comes with time and practice. But that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video on 2 scales that have really helped me work out a lot of pop rock and pop punk songs, because most of the time you're working with the major scale in general and soloing off the major pentatonic when working out leads. I will be back again in the future with a video on the minor pentatonic and the minor in general, but for now, hopefully this helps you out a little bit, and everything will be in the description below, and please comment and tell me what you thought of this and if I should keep doing videos like this. But again, please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe down below for more guitar related things, and thank you so much for watching.